Ya Aquaba.
First things first, we look upon the so-called Negro in America as a sick man. When a man, you may say, well, what do I mean sick? If a man has forgotten his name, he's a sick man. They call that amnesia. And if you go to the so-called Negro here in America and ask him his name, he doesn't know it. If a Chinese person came through that door and I asked him his name and he said his name was Patrick Murphy, you'd know he forgot his own name and has picked up an alias somewhere. So we who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when we see so-called Negroes named Murphy and O'Toole and Johnson and Smith and Powell and Wright and Wilkins, which are all English and Irish names, we think that they look just as much out of place as a group of Chinese would look wearing those same names. And they wear these names because they don't know their own name. They have lost their identity, their own identity. So this is amnesia. And by not knowing themselves, when a man doesn't know himself, he doesn't know what belongs to him. He could be the richest man on this earth, but by having lost his identity, he'll walk around like a pauper. So here we have 20 million black people in America who are wearing the names of their former slave master. And by suffering a form of amnesia, they don't have a name of their own, so they've taken your name. They don't know their own language, so they've taken your language. They don't have a history of their own, so they let you tell them what their history is. And that, in essence, is that you found them in the jungle someplace with a spear chasing white people.
Shalom Mashpaka, for your consciousness, awake. How you doing this evening? I tried to get the clock set right, but they got it set on that time. So if you know how to tell the time from their angle, I think that's London, then you'll be able to know what time it is. I try to put it on the time so that we can tell the time correct, like what time of day this was, and maybe some of y'all may be at work and might look at the screen and see what time it is. So I put that up there for y'all. All right, fam. I didn't put my picture up there because I didn't feel like going through all that. I have a it's more better this way for me. Saves the CPU. But I have a Bible verse that I want to read for y'all before I start. And as we know, this is around the end of February. And when the night fall, we know as a bar people that that's the next day. So I'm doing this out of honor for they say I disconnected. All right. Hopefully I'm back. Okay, I'm back now. So Yakanan chapter 14, beginning at verse 1. John 14, beginning at verse 1. And this is the words of the Messiah before he left this earth. All right, before he went to sleep and woke up again. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in Allahayim, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And whither I go, you know, and the way you know. And Thomas said unto him, every time I go live, I had that issue. And Thomas said unto him, Adonai, we know not whither you go, and how can we know the way? And Yahushua answered unto him, and he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If ye had known me, you should have known my Father also. And from henceforth you know him and have seen him. All right, and I'm finna leave that scripture right there. Let me drink me something real quick. Excuse me. All right, I'm back. Sorry for that. But every time I go live, it seems like my throat, I just, I get this clog in my throat. I don't know what it is. But anyway, I wanted to talk about rent control. And before I do that, I heard somebody, according to the flesh, online saying that he was persuaded that the scripture is full of allegories and stories and it's not really based on facts and all that, and you really can't trust it. Let me say something to y'all. If y'all let people, because you already know our people going through enough, and that's including to you too, brother, if you listening. You and the rest of your people done went through enough. Don't let people get inside of your head, bruh. We need to stop letting people get inside of our head. If you start not believing in what the scriptures say, what's left for us to do? That's all I'm saying. What's left for us to do if we believe that the Bible is full of allegories? See, that's another thing that's dangerous for people that want to keep our people docile. You gonna tell our people, try to persuade us to believe that the reality of the scripture ain't true? Y'all don't understand. And I'm not talking to my people saying we don't understand. They should be the one. They should be the main one with their hands prayed, lifted up to the sky. Because if you get people that you done beat down and then you try to destroy their last hope, which is the one that died for them, and he did die for them, for us, what do y'all expect finna happen? Now, I'm just asking you a last hope. There's no more hope for this nation of people that, they trying to pull us this way, they trying to pull us that way. Let me ask, I'm asking y'all this simple question. I say this. If you take away all the jobs from people and you have stores open up and you only want certain people to work and certain people to come in your store, y'all think people finna keep knocking and begging to come inside the store? And if you ban those people from hunting and fishing and say you need a license and you need this and you need that and you need this and you need that, do you think people is going to keep asking for something to eat? So what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, don't let nobody tear you away from y'all. Because what we need to realize is that our faith in him is very important. So don't let nobody tear you away from y'all. And his name is X. He said he an ex-preacher. Bruh, I'm telling you, you better look back in your Bible. Look back in your Bible. As I said on my broadcast before. And maybe I ain't gonna let a little bit of it play because I don't want our people to get confused. But bruh, ain't nobody come on this earth just pop up out the blue. Nobody just, every generation you had to have a mother and a father in order to have a baby. How did the first father and the first mother got here? I think his name is Tris Jen Harris. Bruh, what person on this earth was born without a father and a mother? Who was born on the earth without a father and a mother? So if everybody on the earth has a father and a mother, whether they know who their father is or whether they know who their mother is or not, if everybody on this earth comes from a father and a mother, where did the first father and the first mother come from? You ain't got to find not one bone. You ain't got to find no blood sample DNA. You ain't got to find no foot track of the first Adam, which means that's what his name was. the first Adam. You cannot tell me that this man, okay, so the dirt laid down with the dirt, and it had birth, gave birth, and the dirt was inside of the dirt. Who formed the dirt, bruh? Have you ever seen somebody just imagine and a house was created? Any person on this earth that call themselves a human being. We got technology now that's higher than a lot of, back then people wasn't watching TV. They weren't listening to radio. You got cell phones, you got televisions, you got your cell phone is more powerful than the computer they said that they used to go up into space with. You got cell phones, you got televisions, you got Wi-Fi, you got all this creation and all this stuff. You got people that know how to do laboratory experiments and put babies inside of incubators, and nobody has created nothing. Shabbat Shalom, a heart tried in fire. Nobody created nothing yet without using stuff that's already here. Nobody, have you ever seen a person clone something and they did it out of nothing? Because this something came from someone. So what I'm saying, we got to stop letting people tell us that our history is based on fiction and on imaginations and old stories that Africans told Africans in the village to commit a political agenda and all that. No, that right there, that atheism movement is a political agenda. Ain't nobody on this earth gonna sit here and tell me and my brothers and sisters that you can make a baby without your wife or without your husband. You cannot make no baby without a female and a man. You can't make, even a dog can't have another dog without the and we're gonna put this on the dog, without the seed of the dog and the egg of the other dog. You can't make a dog without a dog. A seed can't grow, a plant can't grow without a seed. Where the first seed came from? Tracy, Gene Harris. Where the first seed came from, bruh? You cannot make nothing out of nothing. If they say, well, everything came out of a big boom, a big explosion. When they bombed Black Wall Street, what came out of that but death? When they cremate bodies, do that fire inside of the furnace, do it spare life, do it create life, or does it burn up life? When the doctors back then used to put their knives and stuff on the fire, what did they do that for? To kill germs. Fire kills life. So how can fire be the one that, the only way that you can say fire created life is that if somebody that has a mind and he is fire and he spoke and created this stuff. But you can't just say, if I tell you what, if the rays of the sun is that hot that they say it is in scientific experiments, and they ain't, and I don't believe they went up to space yet. I'm sorry, I got disconnected. I should be back now. I'm back now. There is no way on the planet that you could say that something was created out of nothing. A poor man that came up out of nothing can't say he didn't have nothing to go through with before he came up out of nothing. For your heart consciousness, wait, peace and blessings and early Shabbat Shalom to you. That's right. So we need to realize we need to stop playing. Let's stop letting people play with us. And brother, that includes you too. Stop letting people play with you, bruh. You said you was on fire for Messiah. You said you was on fire for Yah. And somebody trick you into believing that the scripture that tell you all this stuff that was going to happen in these last days And it happened just like Messiah said, and somebody done tricked our brother and many other of our people to believe that the Bible is based on fairy tales and old Africans sitting down in Africa somewhere making up stuff for little children and making up. I keep getting disconnected. I'm reconnected. And Messiah said this himself, and I said this last broadcast. Messiah said, you don't have to believe, if you don't believe me for my work's sake, you could believe me for my very word's sake, for they do testify of me. And you could read that the Father, through Yahweh Shai, formed the heavens and the earth. And he said, if you don't believe me for that sake, because you can look at work and see that if you went out there and you did all that labor, brother Tristan, if you went out there to the fruit grove like we had to when I was little, and like my daddy them had to, if you went out there to the fruit grove and y'all cleared all them bins out there, and y'all cleared by 15 bins a piece, and somebody come up to y'all and said that that's an imagination, and you say, here, look, here's the evidence. I got 5 bins right here. These is my bins. It got my initials on it, or whatever symbol you put for. You may put a handkerchief on it or whatever you put to show that these is your bins. And you got your count. You got your 15 bins. Your dad got his and mom got hers, and the little babies done picked they 15. And the man that's driving the fruit crew say, well, I don't see no evidence of it. And you sitting there looking at all them 15 bins, all the family done pick, and they say, I don't see no evidence that no fruit was picked here, so y'all ain't gonna get paid. And then you go back home and the landlord looking for rent, and so you pull out of your savings account and you give them your rent payment, and then they turn around and say, well, I don't see no evidence of that. And then you show them a receipt and they say, well, I don't believe that a receipt came from off of your that's a pay stub, because I didn't see I don't know where the other part at. You said, well, it's on y'all behalf to find that part, right? It's on y'all behalf to figure out what y'all did with the MoneyGram. It's on y'all part to figure out what y'all did with that money order, because here's my receipt stating that I paid my bill. See what I'm saying? There's evidence. The overdue. You can see evidence after it rained that it done rained last night. When you go outside and there's a big puddle of water all across the neighborhood where you done went to sleep at, just because you was asleep and was unaware, don't mean that it never happened. You can look out there and see the evidence of it. You can look out there and see the evidence. What person on this earth that's a mortal man can put the sun up there like that? What person that's a mortal man can say that something that's intricately done is not intricately done? Do you know how much atoms you have inside your body? How many atoms just to be inside of one blade of grass? And for somebody to say that to you or me and one of us, that we don't need to believe in the Bible is built up on myth and fictional tales to control the nation of people that it was given to. But they don't say that about the American law, that it was built up on fictional tales and disbelief. When Christopher Columbus said he discovered a land and he called it India, they don't say that was built on fiction. When the Taino was sitting there looking right at them, come inside of what they call now America. The Taino sitting right there looking right at them saying, hey, I discovered a land, and Taino looking at them right at Christopher Columbus and them come through there saying that they was macking on all the women. So family, we need to give the most earnest heed to the things that we have heard, lest we let them slip at any time. Now I can look at this document right here. So this document right here, this is talking about rent. Now they say rent control. One would believe that if you say you got rent control, then that is so that people would be able to afford to stay where they staying at. But that's a problem with that, because see, what they do with rent control is they raise up rent. They can raise up your rent in some states. In the one that I'm staying in, your rent could be raised up beyond what you make. So you could be a millionaire. And in the state that I live in, they can raise up the rent higher than what you get paid every week. So if you make $5 million every week, and at the end of the month, that's five times 4. So what's 5 times 4? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So that's almost that they can raise up the rent higher than all of the income that you came in with. All the money that you make, they can raise up the rent higher than that. And if they want to, they could just leave off maybe $3. So now you are a multi-millionaire. And in the state that I live in, they can they could do that. It's in the law. Look it up. Fair use law. And I'm finna read it to you. They can raise up the rent higher than what you make. There's no cap on it. And see, as they shutting down the brothers and sisters that have their own private buildings that they trying to charge you affordable rent, they shutting that down. When they price you out the neighborhood, or when police come through and harass people in the neighborhood and they start leaving and nobody can find no tenants that can stay in that building that keep getting harassment. And then so you got jitterbugs and grown folk over there that's trying to survive, and now they got they snipers and they got they choppers and they trying to survive because it ain't no jobs, because they trying to price you out of the neighborhood. And then where you finna go? Wherever you go, there's other stuff going on over there too, and then the rent is sky high. And so in the state that you're living in, they can discriminate against you. And like I said, and this was done in 1977. This bill was passed. It wasn't passed in the 1700s. It wasn't passed in 1803. It wasn't passed in 1500s. This bill was passed in 1977, and I'm going to prove it to you. In the United States, rent control refers to laws or ordinances that set a price control on the rent of residential housing to function as a price ceiling. More loosely, rent control describes several types of price control. So you got HUD and you got Section 8 program, and there's brothers and sisters that's been on the waiting list for HUD for about 30 years. There's brothers and sisters that then serve in the military that's on the waiting list for Section 8 program. All right. And the ones that staying there, they better stay there as long as they can. Even though people tell you to leave, what you gonna do when you move somewhere and they raise up the rent past what you making and you go to work? And they say if a man don't work, he don't eat. Well, you can work and still not eat, because you got to figure out if you're gonna pay your lights or is you gonna pay your rent. Sometimes you pay your lights and you pray for a blessing to come through. And sometimes you pay for your rent and you pray for a blessing to come through. So you try to get a side hustle, and that ain't working, because if you make more now, they can always raise it up higher. So the next year come around, they can raise it up higher. So that's what they say. They put a price ceiling. More loosely, rent control describes several types of price control. Strict price ceilings. So now, you know, they got a ban that they passed in Florida where they got it set where Florida got it set where the government can't force them to do it, right? But the government, but Donald Trump have vetoed stuff before. But they say they got it set where the government can't force. So I believe the mayor that's in Florida said he passed something to do the rent control, but I don't see how that's going. But we gonna see. I think they coming with something I don't understand, but we gonna read this and we gonna see, because it's a lot of people, even in the hood that I stay in the white part, that's going homeless. And I seen them. I seen white people that the country was, this country was established for them, whether people want to receive it or not. and a lot of them is going homeless. Strict price ceilings, as also known as rent freeze systems, or absolute or first generation rent control, in which no increase in rent are allowed at all. See, strict price ceilings, also known as rent freeze systems, or absolute or first generation rent controls, in which no increase in rent are allowed at all. Rent is typically frozen at the rate existing when the law was enacted. Vacant control, also known as strict or strong rent control, in which the rental price can rise but continues to be regulated in between tenancies. A new tenant pays almost the same rent as the previous tenant. And vacancy control, also known as tenancy or second generation rent control, which limit price increase. So second generation rent control, which limits price increase during a tenancy but allows rent to rise to market rate between tenants. New tenants pay market rate rent, but increases are limited as long as they remain. As of 2022, 7 states, California, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Maine, Oregon, Minnesota, and the District of Columbia, have localities in which some form of residential rent control is in effect for normal structures, including mobile homes. 37 states either prohibit or preempt rent control, while 7 states allow their cities to enact rent control, but have no cities that have implemented it. For localities with rent control, it often covers a large percentage of the city's stock of rental units. For example, in New York City, as of 2017, 45% of rental units were rent stabilized and 1% were rent controlled. These are different legal classifications in New York City. In the District of Columbia, as of 2019, about 36 of rental units were rent controlled. And in San Francisco, as of 2024, about 75 of all the rental units were rent controlled. And in Los Angeles in 2014, 80% of multifamily units were rent controlled. And in 2019, Oregon's legislature passed a bill which made the state the first in the nation to adopt a statewide rent control policy. This new law limits annual rent increase to inflation plus 7%, include vacancy decontrol, market rate between tenants. Exempts new construction for 15 years and keeps the current state ban on local rent control policy state level preemption intact. And in November 2021, voters in St. Paul, Minnesota passed a rent control ballot. So you can read this on your time, family. I'm going to say this in there, but I want to take you to, so let's look right here. During World War II, roughly 80% of rental housing was put under rent control. This is World War II under rent control, started in 1941. The observed result was that landlords opted to sell their units at a controlled price rather than renting at controlled prices, leading to increases in home ownership and decreases in rental units. So now I'm going to look something up for you, family. And you need to know what was going on in Florida when they didn't have no cap. All right, rent control, law in Florida. So let's look at this right here. Look at this. Does not have any rent control laws. Check this out. And they erase history too. They always erasing history. Yes, this is facts and will continue to exactly. It says does not have any rent control laws. Now this chat GBT up here on here. So I'm gonna read what chat GPT saying, then I'm finna go down here to Turbo Tenant. But it say Florida does not have any rent control laws. Individual cities and counties in Florida are prohibited from implementing rent control, except in cases of emergency. Oh boy, it's emergency, right? It's been emergency for 500 some years over here for us. Landlords can rise the rent by any amount, by any family. What do any mean? As often as they choose, as often as they choose. It's their prerogative. But they cannot increase the rent during the lease term unless the lease agreement allows for it. So let's say you move inside of a home, right? And you rent it to own it. And inside of that home, let's say you had an old school deal where you paid about $400 a month, right? You pay $400 a month. And on your lease, it say you're supposed to, after you get done paying, let's say for 5 or 10 years, then you can make a down payment of, let's say, $200, and then the property is yours, and then you'll have to set up a lot rent agreement if that person have that for you. So let's say you put that lot rent agreement, and let's say you're supposed to pay $300 a month, right? So a new landlord, so the old landlord, he filed bankruptcy. And a new landlord come in and he purchased the property, right? But he didn't purchase because it's against the law for them to purchase your rights according to their laws, right? So he purchased the property, but it's supposed to be against the law for them to purchase your rights. But in the state of Florida, does not have any rent control laws. But if you have a lease that say that this is how much I was paying and this is how much it's supposed to be. So if you have an old house, but even with the new house, so it's always loops. And anybody that we know that there's loopholes in everything. So let's look at this here, right here. This is, so we're going to look at this right here. This is door loop. My bad. I said I was going to go somewhere else, but I'm going to go here. Florida rent increase laws. How much can landlord raise rent in 2025? All right. Every state in the let me go ahead and share this to you. I'm gonna go ahead and share this to you, and you can join their website. Let me share this with you. All right, I'm gonna come right on in there and share this inside of the chat. All right, so let me pull this out and share this with y'all. And family, we need to be able to talk about stuff. We need to talk about this because this is a problem. It's a big problem. All right. And so we're going to talk about the problem. And so we can put up in our mind to say, look, we need a solution. Because if there's a problem, then there needs to be a solution. So I say right here, every state in the U.S. has its own laws and regulations. So every state is like their own little country. They together, but they're not together. Every state in the U.S. has its own laws and regulations. In fact, there was one state, let me say this to y'all before I read this. There was one state that still ain't passed a bill that we don't be enslaved. There was one state that ain't never passed that bill. That it's just sitting there. You know how they veto a bill? How they put it in veto? It was just still sitting there. And I forgot what state that was. It was not just one state though. Most states have regulations in place when it comes to sitting limits on annual rent hikes to ensure that there is affordable housing. These laws protect average citizens. So when people say they need to shut down Section 8 and everything, what they're trying to say is they need to shut down fair pricing. Because look, if they say the value of money is supposed to be going up, but the things that they selling on the market go up higher, and the money is either going down or it's staying the same, that means that the value of the money is not the value of the people that's spending the money, because it ain't the money. You can make the money do what you want it to do. Because if I'm selling apples and I know that I get a raise, because if people keep coming and buying apples from my apple stand, if I can give myself a raise, that don't mean that the people that's coming and purchase the apples got a raise just because they coming and supporting my stand, my venue. So because they coming and supporting my venue and they doing it so well, and I done put my prices down to 5 cents. My prices used to be 5 cents for every apple. Now I'm charging $5 or $2. Just because I can afford to spend more money don't mean that the people that's my clients can come, or the people that's coming in to purchase my merchandise can afford more money. So that's the problem. You know, when you put money inside the bank, when you pull it out, it's supposed to match whatever the prices of stuff that's around. So if you put money in the bank and apples was $1, then and now you pull inside the bank to pay for an apple, and the apple is $3, and you pull out the bank and now you got $1 in there that you, when you first put it in there, now you can't afford to buy the apple when they supposed to be an insurance to you. So they're supposed to promise you that you're going to be able to afford that apple. So you put the money in the bank for they can keep it in there, so that but other people, they can spend the value on the dollar, but you don't get the full value of the dollar. Do y'all know what I'm trying to tell y'all? Blessings, Vanta. Y'all feel me what I'm saying? So they not giving you the value on your dollar. So when a Negro have his money in the bank, you could be making close to what your neighbor making. Your neighbor can, they'll charge him an affordable price, which means a price that won't break the bank for him, which means he'll have to be. Think about this. How many Negroes need to file bankruptcy? Now, if you file bankruptcy on your apartment or on your house, they say they can't put you out right away, but you can file bankruptcy. Did you know that? Now, if you file bankruptcy, then they're going to be able to get you out of there in some kind of way, and loophole. But why did you file bankruptcy? Did you file it just to be for foul play? That's for the courts to determine, right? With the evidence that's brought forth. So let's look at this right here. These laws protect average citizens. See, it protects citizens, right? So if you are supposed to be a citizen of a place, right? They say they protect citizens, and they're not doing this to protect you, then that means whatever state that you're in, all those people that's in that state that got the state with all that money falling out their pocket till they pocket about to bust, those people in that state are not considered as citizens. No matter if they have a citizenship and all that right there, their citizenship is like toilet paper. If these things, they can't participate. That's like you staying inside of a motel and you want to go and swim in the pool, but they say you can't swim in here unless you renting out a room. So you go and you rent out a room, and they still say you can't come in there. The only ones that can come in here is the ones that rent out a room here. So just like the people that's citizens of a country, it don't have to just be in America. You could be in any country in the world. If you can't have citizens' rights, then you're not treated as a citizen. You're treated as a foreigner, right? So when you see, when our people was in our home country and we weren't able to participate in our own country as if it was our country and there was somebody else ruling in there, we were treated as aliens in our own country, right? So when we were brought to America, we're still treated as aliens. So even in our home country and here. So when they say these laws protect average citizens, say average citizens. So what's a citizen that's not average? I'm looking at every word in here. Every word is popping out to me because something ain't making sense if you say it makes sense. So every average citizen. So what's an average citizen? Okay, so I guess an average citizen will be able to afford it because an average citizen will have the means to pay for it because they will have perks and things that go along with being a citizen, right? So the animals must be an average citizen. The cockroaches must be an average citizen in the states that this law is not put in motion. So any state that this law is not put in motion, the cockroach is protected. He don't have to pay rent. So if these laws protect average citizens, then the cockroaches, you know, the one that's black with the yellow on his back, they can go and live rent free. They ain't got to pay nothing. A dog ain't got to pay you nothing. You pay for the dog. The dog is a citizen of your house. But an unwanted animal is not a citizen of your house. So if a possum came in your house, then he don't have the same rights as a dog. So if you treat it like a possum when you're supposed to be treated like the dog, then you're not treated as if you belong in the house. So that's pushing you out of the house, just like people smite and by raid for roaches. But look, and ensure that people don't go broke. So when people pay their rent, they're not supposed to go broke with this law. That's why that law was enacted. Nobody should be getting ripped off for paying rent. However, this often limits property owners from conducting business the way they want to. Is Florida one of those states that has rent increase limits? Are there any Florida rent increase laws you need to be aware of? In Florida, landlords are free to raise rent and set rent however they deem fit, whatsoever they want to do. Do what I say, but not as I do. Don't do whatever you want to do, but do what I say and not as I do. As long as they provide proper notice. So as long as they let you know, hey, we're going to raise up your rent even higher than what you make. We gave you a notice to let you know we finna rip you off. You all right, sir? You all right, ma'am? You go and ask your boss for a raise. The boss say, oh, we can't do a raise right now, but we could give you extra hours. And all those extra hours of you out there bending your back over, out there working like a dog. Not like a dog, like a possum, because a dog got rights. Like a possum. Maybe some possums got right. Cockroach? I don't know if they wrote a law to protect the cockroach yet. So let's just say cockroach. Well, cockroaches may have some kind of rights after a while because they do have rights to protect germs. While this may be a benefit for you, the landlord, there are certain conditions you need to be aware of. Now, this may be a benefit for you. I don't know how that the landlord can Florida rent control laws. No, there are no Florida rent control laws. None. Settle. Zero. Settle. I don't even know if there's a word in Hebrew for zero. Is there a word in Hebrew for zero? La. There are no Florida rent control laws. None. Settle. Zip. Zouch. The only place where you could go to get an affordable place, whether if you're rich or poor, is in Section 8 or HUD program. Because if your landlord want to, he could get you. Additionally, Florida goes a step further and forbids rent control oversight. Forbid. You shall not be fair when people pay their rent. You shall take advantage. You shall not be fair. It's up to you if you want to be fair or not. Making it one of several U.S. states that do so. Barring individual cities and counties from doing so. Barring individual cities and counties from doing so unless absolutely necessary. Now, is it absolutely necessary when you go down to Orlando and there's thousands of people laying outside in the street? There's people that's working on jobs and they still go to lay back under the tree in a tent, and they got to move the tent because they say they breaking down people tents outside. Did you know that when this law was enacted, it was the first time that they saw that it snowed in Florida when they enacted this law? Did y'all know that they enacted this law when it was snowing in Florida? You know, out of any time, can it be a coincidence that when it snowed in Florida, it don't snow? Florida is not supposed to snow in Florida, but they instituted this law in when it was snowing in Florida. So who was living down here in the South in Florida when it was snowing in Florida? Seminoles, Negro. Who was living down here in Florida? Runaway slaves. Who was down here in Florida when they passed this law in 1977? Who had set up houses and stuff out here? Where was Black Wall Street? Wasn't there Tulsa down here in Florida? Who set up that right there in the middle of a snowstorm in Florida? You don't believe me? It snowed in 1977 when this law was instituted in, family. I'm going to let you go back and read the rest of this. Do I have the right to be angry, or should I talk like I'm dignified? $1977. Snow in Florida. Family, when they set up this law, guess what it was doing in Florida? West Palm Beach. Oh, in West Palm Beach, fam. Do you know what that means? Right where the sun spike it hit hard. Where if your sun hit. Listen, I was a little boy and I sat down in Florida, where I stay in Florida, and I didn't have my shirt on because back then boys used to be boys and run with their shirts off, and the girls had to have a shirt on unless there was a tomboy and they got in trouble because they had it off. But look, and it was a little girl and they wasn't okay. But look at what was going on in Florida. See, my back used to burn. You know how I feel when your back burn from the sun? Listen, but look at this. West Palm Beach, Florida, exactly 47 years ago. That ain't that long, family. 1977. 47. Some of us is 47 years old right now. Some of us is 50 years old right now. Some of us can remember this like the back of our hand right now. 47 years ago, when it was snowing in Florida, snow fell in South Florida. South Florida. For the only time in recorded history. Family. WPTV. First Alert Weather Chief Meteorologist Steve Weigel said that on January the 1977, enough snow accumulated to cover the ground and be recorded in weather history books in Florida, the Sunshine State. When? What year? Did Florida reject? I'm going to put reject rent control. Why doesn't Florida have rent control? Everybody asking this question that done thought about it, right? Rent control laws. Florida rent control. Is there such thing? What year? Rent control. Then and now. Homeless voice. Year. 1977. Rent control. Florida. They must have wanted somebody. Functionality outlawed. Rent control is functionally outlawed across Florida due to a 1977 state law. However, Orange County is currently considering rent control on the bailout. I used to stay in Orange County, Orlando. Family, 1977. That's the year that it snowed in Florida. In the very place. So right here, Orange County is close. You know, a lot of places in Florida is an island. You know, like you go to Puerto Rico, it's an island. So the people in Florida talk kind of different over here. We island people. The people in Georgia and all of y'all that ran up there to the north to find a job like my fathers and and all the rest of us was trying to do. And then we had to run back. And now we don't know where to run. You run this way, you run that way. They're burning the brother building down in another place. I just saw what Brother K. Judah was showing it. So family, rent control. In 2019, Oregon and Florida is not the only state that's doing this. Florida's not the only state. Florida is not the only state. That's why when people say you need to do away with the Bible and that done away with, don't make sense. Bible ain't true. Bible ain't real. Listen, family, you better have some hope. You got to have some hope. Many blessings to you, sis. I'm on. Many blessings to you. But family, I'm about to get up off of here. If there's anything that anybody would like to say on this subject matter, please do so. I'm not finna bother your tone. Say how you feel, say what you want to say, and get it out and say it with your chest. Like the brother that used to go on Pastor Kelly page. I wonder how the brother doing. Say it with your chest. I wonder how he doing. But anyway, yeah, I feel like the brother they used to play for the Lakers. I feel like him. Brother Kwame. It's time for grandmama's cooking. It's time for grandmama's cooking. Somebody need to tell the truth. Somebody need to tell the truth and say it like it SI is. This don't make no sense. And as we speak, oh, let me look up. Somebody say they rich. Come to Florida. Come on. Come to the Sunshine State. richest, let me look up $5 million. Let me look up $5 million. Let's look at how much $5 million worth in a place where they can raise up rent to catch all that money. $5 million. Win the lottery you want to. Come to Florida. All right. $5 million. All right. Now, I ain't even got to pull it up, but we know a lot of us ain't never hold $5 million in our hand. $5 million, all your money gonna be gone. You gonna be right on the street with them out there. Everybody that's homeless ain't broke. They just don't have no rights. And everybody that ain't got no job don't mean they can't work. Let me tell you something. I don't know how a person that can lift 200 and something pounds can't get a job lifting boxes. It don't make sense. It don't make sense. It just don't make sense. So that's why when they say we don't need no jobs, people being lazy, this and that and other, listen, let me tell you something, family. You can have all the money you want to, but if you can come back to a place and that person can raise up their rent and take every dime you got and then some and say, hey, well, it's the law. I gave you a notice, proper notice. I'm giving it to you a month ahead. Here you go. Boom. Now the rent gonna raise up. Ain't nothing you can do about it. So I'm just sending you in a notice to let you know I'm finna do what I'm finna do. So sit back, chill out, and or you could get out. You get your 30-day notice. That's the only law you got, and try to contest it in court. Get your 30-day notice. If you don't hurry up and get it, we already got a 5-day notice on your door. So you better go ahead and get that notice. If you ever get a landlord that's trying to work with you, family in Florida, that's a dime a dozen. Remember the video that had the needle on the haystack? You found a needle in the haystack. And I think that the person that just came over here is a needle in the haystack. I ain't trying to make him mad. But I'm trying to tell the truth. I got to tell the truth, so help me, even if it hurt me. Family, this law right here need to change. This need to change. And if it don't change, then we need to come together, because you can't expect for it to change if it's not going to change. And how long we been waiting for the change to come? We need to come together and try to figure out what we're going to do together. They just burnt the brother building down up there. He put millions of dollars in that building. They burnt the brother building down. They burnt it. They couldn't burn it all the way, so they came in there and cut the cords. Who shared that? Sister 007? They cut the cords on the brother. And Sister the Oracle 007 shared that. They cut the cords on the brother bill. Let me share that with y'all in the chat. After I'm done, the chat will be reopened under here, and you can go in, and everything that I'm sharing in here, you can go and check it, fam. That's right there. You could go and check it. And that's the sister video, Oracle 007, when she talking about how they burnt the brother stuff down. And do you know it wasn't the citizens that burnt it down? Did you know that it was governmental officials? Did you know that? Who they finna blame? The Proud Boys? When it was the government officials that went in there and burnt that down? I ain't saying that the Proud Boys, I don't know nothing about, listen, but I'm talking about the one that did it. We see the one that did it. They burnt it down. And brother, runaway slave, that name translate to Seminole. He put up a video. I say, what happened to the milkman? That brother put that video up there. We know what happened to the milkman. He got taken up. He got took out. That's what happened to the milkman. He was trying to help his people, help his community. And our people weren't the only one that benefited from the milkman. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? All right, family, I'm finna get up off of here, and nobody got prosecuted for the milkman murder. But y'all, those videos, I shared them on my community tab. Please go and look through there. I'm not trying to sow seed of discord. I'm telling you the truth. We need to know the truth. And I believe something happened on the news. There was a news that the people on the news was telling the truth. I forgot what year it was. And they started firing them people. And I can't remember the names of those people that was on that news broadcast. I think it was UPN 44, one of those channels. But those people, they would wake up, they would tell the truth on that news station, and they tried to ban those people. And a lot of them got fired on that news station because they used to tell it like it SIEs on there. And so they started firing them. But you got to tell the truth. Shame the devil, tell the truth. If it's cold outside, let people know it's cold so they can get them a jacket. All right, family, I got to go. Shalom to the hearers and the keepers of the word of Allah. All right. Bahasham Yahweh. Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Amen. In the name of the Son, Yahweh Shai. Amen. Gotta go, fam.